The Crypto Markets Update is brought to you by KuCoin, the best place to find the next crypto gem.
Up markets today, and joining us now to discuss those crypto markets is Kapil Rathi. He is CEO of exchange CrossTower. Good morning, Kapil.
Good morning. How are you guys?
How are you? So yeah, obviously we're seeing Bitcoin trading above 24,000. We're seeing prices in the positive today, not just in crypto, but also in equity markets. Are they connected, or is there some other factor that's driving crypto right now?
I think we're definitely following some macro trend here. It seems like most of the bad news is baked in the equities market and crypto, of course, which has its own shares of a lot of bad news in the past few weeks. On the macro front, I think we are in the third straight week of equity markets now growing. The CPI figures are expected to be lower, still at a very high rate of 8+%, but coming down from 9.1% that just came out. So I think earnings season, as we are going through, most of the bad news was already factored in. We haven't really seen much shock. Of course, the Galaxy news that's coming out today, Coinbase is reporting tomorrow. Those are the two news items that we will be watching very closely. But the overall market is in a sort of upward trend in line with the traditional market.
And are you? Well, I guess how much upside? Well, of course, anybody in the crypto markets will say upsides are infinite. But I mean, do you think you'll see any resistance in the near term? Is there a certain point where you think that you're just not going to find enough buyers for Bitcoin to overcome a hurdle?
I actually think we can see some little bit upswing. Of course, compared to other asset classes, Bitcoin specifically is still in the oversold territory. As long as there is no bad news, we can see some of the cash that was sitting on the sideline that kind of got moved out of this market will slowly start coming in, especially on the institutional desks. That could be a short-term swing in the Bitcoin prices. So I don't see any major reason why we should hit the peak so early.
Kapil, I was wondering if you could comment on some of the drama we've been seeing between WazirX and Binance lately, two big crypto exchanges, one in India, one the largest globally. So trouble began last week when the property of a WazirX director was raided by India's enforcement directorate in connection with an investigation over alleged fraud. So Binance then disabled off-chain transfers to WazirX on Sunday and then enabled them on Monday. So here CZ is saying if you have funds on WazirX, you should transfer it to Binance. Simple as that. We could disable WazirX wallets on the tech level, but we can't or won't do that. And as much debates as we are enduring, we won't hurt users. So what is going on here exactly between WazirX and Binance?
Yeah, so just to kind of give maybe like a broad background, I'm in fact actually right now in India closely monitoring the situation. As you know, CrossTower has a very established operation in India. So the Department of Enforcement, which is very similar to the FinCEN, Financial Crime Enforcement Network in the United States, has issued a press release, if you go to their website, that they started conducting money laundering investigation a few days ago against a number of Indian non-bank financial companies. Now, these companies have been actually in the news quite a lot because RBI has been using this route to provide liquidity in the market or offering credit to some small lenders. Apparently, ED investigation found that some fintech NBFCs who were backed by some Chinese financial entities were probably involved in some sort of money laundering here. And as ED started coming onto these companies started routing the funds out of India, it seemed like a lot of that fund was actually moved through WazirX. So in that sort of kind of entire investigation, WazirX unfortunately came into the limelight, and that triggered sort of another saga is where CZ, surprising to the entire Indian community here, decided to distance himself from WazirX. Up until last week, honestly, the entire crypto community here was under the impression that WazirX is fully owned by Binance. There had been news, the whole Indian media talks about it. Whenever we talk about success of WazirX, it's always called as Binance-owned WazirX. And then now CZ distancing himself from WazirX is quite dramatic. It seems like there is some confusion about which company actually Binance owns. So looks like the CEO of WazirX, or the founders, do operate another entity which has some licensing arrangement with Binance. So there's just a whole lot of confusion about it. And then, of course, the drama is unfolding on Twitter. But it's kind of sad. I think it is hurting the confidence of Indian crypto community. And folks like us are here to build that confidence in that community, to sort of be out there in front of media.
I wanted to ask about that, because are you benefiting from this kind of conflict? You know, when you have a large player in India with questionable or at least problematic issues with its potential parent company, and it's a very public spat. And there's a whole issue about where people can, when and how people can get their money in and out. Are you and other exchanges that are very popular in India, are you seeing an inflow of customers, an increase in any way from WazirX, or are you, has it just been like kind of roadkill on this as you drive by? What's exactly going on there for you?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question. To be frank, honestly, you do not want to be benefit from these type of situations. Put the commercial interest aside. This is about growing the crypto industry. This is about growing the economy in India. For example, of course, with Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi drama in US, are there companies like us who are benefiting? Obviously, we're benefiting as the number of players, the competition is shrinking. But what's hurting is the confidence, right? We are seeing a confidence breakdown in the entire crypto community in US because what happened with Celsius, what happened with Voyager. We're seeing the same issue here in India, that now the Indian consumers who are already actually hurt by this transaction tax that Indian government imposed few weeks ago, are now sort of kind of handed over this another issue from the largest crypto exchange in India. So us as industry leader are not necessarily looking at it as how do we benefit from this, but what we're looking at this is how do we educate that crypto investor that some of these nuances are short term. There is a lot of potential in this technology, and also educate our policymakers who probably will see this as another reason why the regulation should be more stringent, or we need to stop crypto. So I think it is a challenge for all of us, and we all need to work together to make sure the regulators don't end up in using these type of events to sort of put brakes on this industry.